Welcome back to GridironTalkZone. Today we are going to be previewing the NFC West, the final division we have to preview before we get into our final record predictions, including the playoffs and Super Bowl next week before the season starts, and then it'll be on to the in-season content. But yeah, so we're going to start with the worst team in the NFL, the Cardinals. Do you agree that they're the worst team in the NFL, Jude?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I just was trying to finish up record predictions. First, I had them 0-17, but I didn't want to do it to them. So I just gave them one. I gave them one win because they're
Man.
going to win a game. They're going to,
They're going to beat somebody,
they
right?
can't go 0-17. So I was like,
Yeah.
what's the way? In fact, what we're going to talk about is how can the Cardinals win a game. The theory I came up with, they're going to have to play a team that has a bad quarterback that won't expose the secondary, and they're going to have to play a team that James Conner can maybe run the ball on. So whatever team you find on that schedule is closest to that, that's what I decided to give them a win for. So that's why I have them at 1-16. But yeah, the defensive line, if you haven't looked at it already, go look at the depth chart and look at the defensive line, Jude. Just take a look at it.
Okay.
I just didn't realize how bad it was till today. Like, Zaven Collins might be the best pass rusher, and he hasn't even really done that. He's been a linebacker.
Oh, brother. This is tough.
Jonathan Ledbetter, Lekai Fotu, Carlos Watkins. Interesting. But yeah, interesting. And then the linebackers, and there's whatever. But yeah, it all starts with who's playing quarterback. I think it's going to be Josh Dobbs and then Clayton Tune a few games into the season. But yeah, the receiving core is one of the worst in football. The O-line's actually probably the strength of the team outside of the safeties.
Yeah, honestly.
The O-line, it isn't terrible, but it isn't good by any means. And then the defense is like the worst at every position besides probably free safety and the combination of Budda Baker and then the strong safety Jalen Thompson. But yeah, the team sucks. I wasn't a fan of the Gannon hire, so I think they're going to go 1-16. Do you want to add anything before we move on?
Yeah. If there's any Cardinals fans out there, I just want you to know that this year might suck, but this is the best year to suck. Pause. Because the draft coming up,
Caleb Williams,
and they get the Texans pick, they could have their future. They could have their future probably two top 7 picks next season. And I actually like what they did this year's draft, trading down and getting Paris Johnson. I think if you look at, I guess Kyler needs a good O-line, but I feel like Caleb might as well. So I don't know. I like the Cardinals' future. I don't know what's going on with Jonathan Gannon. I have no idea what he's going to do. So I guess kind of just a wait and see on that. But yeah, I don't think it's all doom and gloom for the Cardinals, but it might be for the next 5 months, I'd say.
So say you end up picking one, you take Caleb Williams, and the Texans pick end up being like 7 or something. Honestly, if that happens, I am trading pick 7 and whatever compensation I get for Kyler Murray to move up to number 2 and draft Marv and Harrison to pair with Caleb Williams. That's what I'm doing, personally.
Yeah, that's like what everyone's kind of saying.
Because the Texans are not going to be picking 2, or at least they shouldn't be. It'd be a disaster if they were picking that high again. So I'd use whatever Murray compensation you get and trade it to move up to 2, too, to get you a quarterback and receiver.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, that could be your next, like, Mahomes, Kelsey, Burrow, Chase, if you're looking at it from that standpoint of how talented the prospects are.
Yeah, like a Burrow, Chase. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I kind of have mixed. I think they can, if they play their cards right, I think they can get good value for Kyler.
Yeah, they could.
I mean, there's been some, like, I think Carson Wentz went for a first-round pick twice, if I'm not mistaken.
Sam Darnold went for a second, too.
2nd, 4th, and a 6th. I think they can get a first. They can get a first round for Kyler.
They'll get at least a first for Kyler. Probably a first and then a day 2 pick. If they're lucky, they'll get 2 firsts. But I think they'll just get 1 first and a day 2.
It depends. Pick. I mean, it depends like what team. Like if it's a desperate team. But yeah, I think they could rebuild their future fast. It's just this year might suck, or will suck. Not might. It will suck.
But anyway, on to number 3. Pretty consensus number 3. Some people have them sneak into 2, but I have them at 3 comfortably. The Rams. So I have the Rams at 4-13. Just gonna say it's similar to the Cardinals. Besides, they have a few stars. In Cup, I don't consider Stafford a star. I consider him a solid quarterback, a good quarterback, but at this point, probably just a solid quarterback when healthy. And then Aaron Donald, obviously. But outside of that, the roster is very young, very depleted,
Mhm.
still a very bad O-line, lack of receivers outside of Cup, and I guess you could consider Higbee at tight end, even though what is he, probably like the 15th best tight end. So that's just solid. But yeah, the cornerback room, now no more Ramsey. The cornerback room is up there with the Cardinals, probably for the worst in football. And then the D-line, outside of Donald, it's one of the worst D-lines on paper in football too. It's like just very bad overall team. I could see kind of the ceiling being okay, maybe 7 wins, maybe they can sneak to like 8, but I don't see the wild card talk that some people are talking about.
Oh man, I'm gonna cut you off, but Cooper Cup is injured.
Oh yeah, Cooper
Man,
Cup is injured. I saw he was just day to day though, so I'm not going to worry
he
too much
said
about it.
McVay said he had a setback. Man,
I just think they're going to win 4 games. I don't think McVay's bad enough to where they'll win like 2 or 3. I think 4 is kind of the floor, but I think the ceiling is only like 7, maybe 8 wins. So I think they're just going to be a mediocre to bad team, and that's what I have them being 4-13.
are you sure McVay's gonna be there at the end of the season?
You're worried
Not
about McVay.
saying not saying he's gonna get fired. He might just walk. He might just
If
retire.
he
I mean,
walks mid-season,
he
that is like, come on, you can't walk mid-season.
he can do whatever he wants, man. He got them to Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know. I personally, I wouldn't
What
be
if Sean
shocked.
McVay pulls an Andrew Luck and just retires right before the season? Yeah, I
Man,
realize the
that
training camp Cup's hurt. This team sucks. Let's just call it quits.
yeah. I mean, that's super tough. That would be a bad look. Um, but did you see what this kind of not off topic, but did you see what Matthew Stafford's wife said about him?
No, what'd you say?
Um, she in an interview, I guess a few days ago, she said that he told her that he has no idea like how to be a leader in the locker room, like with because their entire team, well not entire team, a lot of their team now is like rookies because
Hmm.
they spent all that salary a couple years ago, and he said like he doesn't know how to connect like with any of the players on the team. Um,
Wow.
that's pretty tough to say, and we're not even a week away from week 1, and you're already saying that. That's pretty tough. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Rams, they got their Super Bowl. I mean, they got to be happy with that. But I just don't know what their future is because, like, they could tank the whole season and still be better than the Cardinals. Um, I don't really know what they're. I mean, Stetson Bennett, no, like he was not. I don't even think he was that good in college. He was on a stacked team. Um,
He was good in college, but there was reasons for it, like you mentioned.
yeah, yeah, he was fine. I just don't really know like where they're going. I mean, could Donald be gone after the season? Like he might just
Apparently,
retire
remember?
as well.
Did you remember that Donald put in his retirement papers, and then the
Yeah,
contract convinced him to come back? So this is
yeah.
Donald's
So
last year.
he might I don't even know why he's playing, honestly. And then what are they gonna do with Cup? I mean, good lord, they're gonna really start from the ground up these next couple years, which isn't a bad thing because I think the 24 draft is going to be a lot, which is a crazy saying, but apparently it's tough to know a draft a year in advance. But from what I've been reading, I think the 24 draft might have a lot better players than the 23. And the 23 had some really, really good players. So it might not be the worst time to tank, but I just don't know. I mean, I guess they could get Drake May and be like, okay, but I just don't know what McVay's doing. And I think if they do draft a quarterback now, it could be really a tough situation for him to come into. So I just don't really know what their long term plans are because they're not going to win this year, and then who knows after this year.
The interesting thing is with Donald, like, think about it, how good he was for all those years in pursuit of that one Super Bowl. They won that Super Bowl, and then last year it was just like he was good, but he got injured, and now it's like he might retire. Think about that. Brady's won 7 of those. Donald chased his one, and then his career is like pretty much seems like it's at the end. So.
Well, don't even try to hype up Brady, man. That's totally different.
But it's just like
That's a
it's just
no.
Brady's
You should have
ability
said
to
you
win a
should have
Super
said
Bowl, turn
you
around and
should
win another one.
you should have said someone else, man. That was a bad take. Donald, he got his Super Bowl. He's a defensive lineman. He didn't have the control of a receiver or like a player he doesn't have control like Brady. So yeah, obviously it's going to be tougher and it's going to feel more satisfying when you're the best player on the team and you win a Super Bowl. Yeah, that's a bad take. We can move on though.
Oh, I didn't mean to put up both, but both just
It's
went up.
fine.
I don't know why this time was up. Oh, what is this thing? Okay, there we go. Okay, number 2 and number 1. Number 2, I have the Niners. Number 1, I have the Seahawks. Let's talk about them both. Yeah, Jude has the Niners and the Niners 1, Seahawks 2. We both think this is a close battle for 1 and 2. The reason why I have the Seahawks 1 is simply just because of Geno Smith. You know, I'm a big Geno Smith guy after last year. I have him ranked about the 7th or 8th best quarterback in football. And comparing that to the Niners, Purdy, I think, I could see a scenario where he comes out, he's very efficient like last year, plays good ball, and he's like the 12th to 15th best quarterback. But I think that extra element of Geno Smith, the ability to push the ball downfield accurately the way he did last year, something that I don't think is quite in Purdy's game. And where the Niners have those big-time weapons, they can run after catch as good as anybody in football. I just think the vertical, deep passing attack of the Seahawks with Geno Smith, Lockett, Metcalf, and now Njigba in the slot, this is going to be really tough. And I think that puts the Seahawks offense over the Niners. And I just think having the best quarterback in your division is so valuable nowadays. And looking at the defense, this is a really good defense too. It isn't the Niners defense, which is one of the best in football, but the Seahawks. Looking at the defensive line, adding Draymond Jones was a good addition. Jaron Reed too. But Uchenna Nwosu secretly had a really good year last year, so he's a pretty good number 1 pass rusher. Hopefully they can get something out of Boye Mafe as the number 2. D-line overall, it's just solid though. But I love the addition of Wagner coming back to Seattle. Jordan Brooks is back healthy, so should be a good linebacking duo. Then the secondary is what I really like. We know Tariq Woolen had a really good rookie season, and now you add a top pick at corner, Devin Witherspoon to that. And then you add a kind of a chess piece in the secondary, Julian Love, who can play slot corner, can play outside corner, can play safety. He did all that for the Giants, so that's a really good addition. And then you have Quandre Diggs, still a good free safety, and Adams, a good box player when healthy. So I feel like you have a very complete defense led by a very strong secondary. And like I said, quarterback, receiver, secondary, I think that's the key to success nowadays. And the no scrubs up front either. The O-line's young, but it's improving. So I think they're a really good team. And with the Niners having the weaker quarterback and the Niners offensive line, I don't think is as good as years past. And they also did lose a lot of pieces on defense, even though they added Hargrave. I think that the Seahawks are going to take the division this year in a close race, though. I have the Seahawks at 13-4, the Niners at 12-5.
So you're definitely higher on the Seahawks than me. The Niners, I was telling him before, I don't think it's not far-fetched at all to see them switched. I'm not as high on the Seahawks, but I'm also not as high on the Niners. I think their team, their roster, just 1 through 53 is probably up there with the best in the league. That's pretty much no doubt about that. It's just Purdy. I think he had a really nice season last year, but I just don't know if that necessarily is sustainable. Which, me saying that, I watched Jimmy Garoppolo succeed in that for 3 years, and he stinks. So maybe Purdy can, be fine, but I think it might be a little bit of a dip. And also, I think it's the same for Geno. I don't think he's. I think he definitely impressed me. He had a really great season last year, but I just think why is he never? I don't understand how you can go from being a backup your entire career to being that great. I don't know if that's sustainable.
It is though, because listen,
why?
Whenever he played in 2021, the 6 or so games Wilson was out, he put up similar numbers on a per play per game basis than he did last year. and he has a returning offensive coordinator, and you added the best receiver in the draft, in my opinion, and a really good slot guy in Jackson Smith and Jigba. So, like, everything's there for him to only continue to improve, and that's what I think he's going to do. I think MVP Gino's a real thing. I think he's
MVP Gino.
I don't have him winning MVP. I'm saying, like, he can get to that level. I think he's a dark horse MVP candidate, and I think he's going to play top 8 quarterback ball, top 8, top 9.
So Dak stinks, but Gino's like MVP. All right, man. Like, come on.
Dak was bad last year, and Dak lost his coordinator.
Oh my goodness. All right. Okay, so I have one thing to say about the 49ers. Let's just go off the Dak conversation.
I'd rather have Brock Purdy than Dak.
Oh, you're joking, right?
No, I'm not joking.
Did you watch Brock Purdy at Iowa State? Because I did.
Yeah, I watched him at Iowa State, but did you watch him in the NFL last year? He was expected to be a high pick at Iowa State and then didn't turn out. But, like, he was efficient.
The Niners had 3 6th-round picks and didn't take him. And then they took him 7th. Does that tell you anything about
Tom Brady was picked in the 6th round?
Can we stop bringing up Tom? I wasn't expecting – that wasn't on my bingo card today. Talk about Tom Brady in a NFC West podcast.
You just despise Tom Brady.
No, it's just like, why? I mean, why are we going to bring
up the best football player of all time outside of Jim Thorpe? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Out of all people. All right. The Niners, they really screwed Trey Lance.
No, they didn't. If Trey Lance could play, he would be on the team.
Yeah, they completely screwed him over. So they traded, what was it, 3 firsts?
Yeah, they traded 3 firsts.
3 firsts for him. They gave him 1 game and like 2 drives, and he got injured, and then he's bad all of a sudden now.
Because obviously he wasn't progressing enough in practice to take over for Jimmy year 1. They just had to start him year 2 because then he gets injured, and then this obviously, if he was better than Sam, you really think a 3rd overall pick with all they invested into him, if he was actually better than Sam Darnold, they would trade him? No, he obviously didn't show in practice, camp, anything. He was better than Darnold or Purdy because they wanted him to be good because they traded all that for him. So
Sam Darnold sucks. Sam Darnold is the perfect backup quarterback. That's why Lance was not the backup quarterback. Sam Darnold is an easier guy to be your number 2 than Lance. You can't have Lance as your number 2 quarterback. And
Lance said he wanted to be traded. He wanted to be traded somewhere he could compete for the number 2 spot, which was not San Francisco, because clearly they thought Darnold was way better than Lance if they traded Lance.
So the Niners are lucky because they've missed on a lot of high picks.
But they had
if the Niners disappoint this year, that's going to be really interesting to see what goes on because I guess Purdy, you're higher on them than me. What did you have him in your quarterbacks?
Like the 19-20 range.
Okay. I mean, that's fine. I don't know. I'm not as high on Purdy. I don't know if it's sustainable.
I may have had him at 18. Oh, no, 20. It was somewhere around 18 or 20.
You have him ahead of Dak. Yeah. For that season, you have him ahead of Dak.
Because I see a better decision maker, more efficient pocket passing, accurate quarterback in Purdy. That's just what I see. Okay, my comparison to Purdy going forward, I think he's going to put together kind of an Andy Dalton-like career.
That's fine.
I think he can get to that Pro Bowl level at his best and have maybe a few Pro Bowl years. But yeah,
I don't know. So you think okay, let's throw you. Let's give you an example. So let's say Brock Purdy. Let's say, how would he do for the Carolina Panthers this year instead of Bryce Young?
I think they would do about the same. Oh, no. I think Young would do a little bit better, but they do pretty similar things because Purdy's a little bit more experienced than Young at the college and pro level. But going forward, I think Young's potential is way better than Purdy's. But I think as far as this year, if you throw them out on the same field, it's neck and neck. They both probably put up similar production.
Okay. How would you take – so you'd take Brock Purdy on the Cowboys over Dak?
Yes. If Brock Purdy was the Cowboys quarterback, I'd feel better about the Super Bowl chances than I do right now.
Wow. Okay.
That's just how I feel.
Okay. What did you say you have the Niners winning this year?
12 games.
And Seahawks 13?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think the Niners are a Super Bowl contender?
Yeah, I think they're that third team behind the Eagles and the Seahawks.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Well, I guess we'll see, man. But I don't know. I don't think this division. It's not. It's fine. It's like an average division in the NFL. You're just a little bit higher on the quarterbacks than me. But I guess we'll see, man. We'll see.
But anyway, yeah, that's the division. So what was really the big separator between the Niners and Seahawks? For me, it was the quarterback. For you, you think the Niners have an overall more complete team and a better coach?
Yes, and I still think originally I thought one of these teams, the Seahawks or Niners, Seahawks or Niners, were going to miss the playoffs. But then when you look at the NFC, it's just like it's so bad. I mean, I have the Seahawks making the playoffs.
All right, well, that's our podcast. Yeah, but final playoff predictions next week. That'll be exciting. I honestly don't know who I'm gonna have winning the Super Bowl. I'm between 5 teams right now, so we'll see. But have you kind of narrowed it down at all for you?
Yeah, I've narrowed it down.
All right. Well, that's the podcast.